his name is...
It's John Bunday. It is Friday, the 10th of January, and game number 1 of 2025 is finished, and it is Vanquish on the PC. So, Vanquish, this is a game that has actually been sat in my Steam library for years. I'm guessing I must have got it on like a bundle or something. But yeah, either way. So back in the 2023 52 challenge, I played Binary Domain, again a game that was in my backlog on Steam for years and finally decided to play. But when I mentioned in the Club 52 chat, Paul, aka Inked Northerner, was like, "Oh, if you enjoyed Binary Domain, then play Vanquish." So I've been like, "Yes, I will play it," and now I've finally played it because when this goes live, me and James, aka Super Radish, should have had our next episode out, which we cover Vanquish. So that was like the catalyst for me finally doing it, because we were discussing what to play next, and I was like, well, you know, because it's from Vanquish is a game from Platinum Games, and this is a third person shooter with like cover based shooting mechanics and things like that. But you play kind of like a so you're a guy in like a super suit. When I say super suit, like technology, you know, this is in the future, and you're being sent to a colony that's been taken over by, you know, a rogue somebody who's taken over the Russian nation. So it's like US versus Russia. You're not a member of the military though, because that will become a big point of like the fact that, you know, you can't be ordered around and you can't give orders and yada yada yada. Anyway, when I started playing this, I messaged the group and I was like, "This is so much fun! This is amazing!" And yeah, it is. When you get to, because there's 5 acts in total, but when you get to Act 4, they really like to ramp up the difficulty. Like the boss battles by the end of the game, yeah. I was playing with keyboard and mouse. So when I mentioned that in the chat, somebody was like, "What?" But you know, being able to like the shooting was so much more accurate with the mouse, and yet I was still dying loads. So I don't know how the heck people playing controllers managed to like beat the game, because it just feels like you'd be just bang your head against a brick wall. But anyway, you know, it's really fun. So I definitely recommend, especially if you've got the game and just haven't played it. Definitely, and you know, normally it's cheap. You can even get it as part of a bundle with Bayonetta, also by Platinum Games, on Steam. Otherwise, it's going to be cheap on console. So yeah, Vanquish, first game 2025, starting strong. It is Monday, 13th of January, and game number 2 is finished. And it is Mouthwashing on the PC. Yes, Mouthwashing. A game potentially you might not have heard of, because I don't think it's got a console release. Yeah, so this is a PS1 visual style kind of graphics horror game. This is like kind of psychological horror. It's okay. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil it. Apologies about my camera. I still haven't replaced it because it's a story that needs to be experienced, but like all the warnings for like, you know, trigger like words or experiences or things like that, like this is a game that you have to go in like not like being able to okay, you work for Pony Express, which is a freight haulage company, but in the stars. So yes, you're on a spaceship taking a shipment, and it is you and 4 other members of the crew. You hit an asteroid, hijinks ensue, and yeah. So I don't want to spoil anything about the story. It's my experience. I beat it in, I think, just under 3 hours, I think, so it's not a very long experience. It's just that there are things that happen in this game which you have to be able to, yeah, look at a trailer or something. I don't know. I'm trying not to spoil it, as I'm doing a terrible job of saying about the game. If you know it, you know. Otherwise, yeah. It is Tuesday, January 14th, and game number 3 is finished, and it is Ernest Evans on the Mega CD. So this is technically the second part of a trilogy that starts with El Viento, I think it is, for the Mega Drive. Haven't played that. And then Ernest Evans on the Mega CD, Japan only, but got released for the Genesis over in America. PAL never got it, of course. And then the third game, Japan only for the Mega CD, which is Annette Futanabe or something like that. Ernest Evans is a platformer. I would not really say hack and slash adventure kind of like game. Imagine Indiana Jones. You have a whip and you go through levels. This is kind of like, I guess, pre World War II. It's kind of like, that like 1920s 30s kind of like treasure hunter kind of adventurer kind of story. And you play Ernest Evans, who then has been hired to go and find the Necronomicon. Ooh. And then you meet some characters along the way, you go on adventures, yada yada yada. The presentation I really loved in this game, like the pixel art and like the level designs, cutscenes, the background art. Each level it has its own unique look. Nothing's being reused. It represents different locations around the world. I think that's great. The what I don't like, sadly, is the actual gameplay. The controls and the physics of the game are incredibly janky. Like, if you ever seen the gameplay footage, like Ernest seems to be made up of like different sprites, in the sense of it's not one sprite that moves around. It's like the arms are separate from like the torso and the legs kind of style. And yeah, it's a bit weird to control. I mean, because for example, you can kind of like kneel down, then like go prone, and then you're kind of like rolling the ball going along. The problem is, if you get hit, you don't get then suddenly get hit and you have kind of invincibility frames. There's nothing like that. You'll get hit and you have a bar along the top represents your health, and if you're still touching the enemy, that will go down. So say if you were like going prone or like when the ball going along and you like hit an enemy and you're trying to get out of that situation, your bar is just going, and it's just like you're going, stand the fuck up, Evan. Sorry, Ernest. And it's just like, so that could be quite frustrating as well. So it's when you die, you can just ragdoll part backwards across the screen as well, because of course that happens. So yeah, luckily though the levels aren't actually that long, and they're not that complicated at all. And each level always ends with kind of a boss as such. So yeah, I mean it's definitely it's an interesting game, and this was Japan only. So and there was some extra region lock. So there's some like easily accessible software out there to make Sega / Mega CD games work in different regions. That could not do this. So with the assistance from a user by the name of _GF64 on Twitter, who finally cracked the region lock, and then I put my own dub on this as well, so it can now be understood in English. There's no way I have the technical skills to be able to add subtitles. I'm not going to try that. So I've done the dub, and it's on archive.org. I've done a video on it as well. Yeah, so Ernest Evans for Mega CD. It is Wednesday, January 22nd, and game number 5 is beaten, and it is Jet Set Radio Future on the Xbox. So this game, released the original Xbox. I have an Xbox, but I played it via the emulation of the Xbox 360. For those who don't know, the 360 is capable of playing Xbox games, But, and this is a very important but, because I wasn't aware of this until I popped the disc into my console and found out it went, you need a external hard drive to play this. That's not just any external hard drive. You can't just grab a USB hard drive, plug it in. No, you need a 360 branded hard drive because apparently on those has the actual emulation software to run these games. So I was like, okay, looked online. It's like, oh yeah, just grab one of the 50p ones from CX. Great. Went to CX, picked one up, and I was thinking, this doesn't really look like it'll connect to my console. But, you know, anyway, had the kids there as well, so it's like, okay, I'll just take it anyway. So while in the soft play, doing a bit more research, and it turns out, yeah, that hard drive was for the first couple of models I did, whereas I have one of the, I think it's called the Slim model. So the hard drive I need is the one that actually goes inside of the console, not clips onto the side. So sweet talked my wife, who was driving that day, to say, can we stop at a different CEX that does have it in stock, swap it over for the one I want, and yep, brought it back. So I went from having a 20 gig hard drive to a 250 gig hard drive. So yeah. But the fact that the Xbox digital store is now turned off means I probably won't get much use out of it. Anyway, the game itself. And fun fact, this is, so if you look at the front, you can't really tell anything about it. But if you look at the back, it's in German. So I got this from eBay, and because this game has been rising in price. You know, like I got this a couple of years ago. I don't know what it costs now, but even then it was like getting up there. So, and then I saw online, and I was like, I will take a punt, and yeah, it was. So it's a German copy, but you can't really necessarily tell that. Like, I mean, for example, like when you look inside. I mean, actually, the manual was the. I don't think I even checked the manual when I bought it, but because it's probably going to be. Let's see what we got. This is the quality content you come here for. So, okay, it looks like, nope, the manual is completely in German. I was expecting like multi-language, regional for Europe, but when you plug the disc into the console, it's just English. Like, even like the disc itself is all in English. So, I guess you'd have to go into like a language option on the game to change it, but there was no issue playing this. It's just the fact the box is and the manual in German. I don't care about that. I got to play the game, and this is a game that I've been wanting to play for years, and it's a game that I've been going, oh, I need to play that. It's on. I've talked about in the past, like I have a list of games which is like, oh, I need to play that, and also a list of games where like I need to play it because it's blocking me from playing other games. The example with this one is Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. I said I wouldn't play that until I played this. But my first experience with Jet Set Radio, the original, was the HD version that got released on Steam. So I beat that 3-4 years ago. Even though I owned it for ages, I finally beat it. And like I enjoyed it. And then I wanted to play this. And then I intended to play this before Christmas, never got around to it. And then Gaming for Ages said they were going to cover this in their latest video, which dropped as of recording today. So, well, no, yesterday. Yeah, sorry, on the Tuesday, the 21st. But so I was like, okay, now this is pushing me to actually play it because I want to understand, like, I want to be part of the discussion, like, so that when they talk about stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, whether or not I agree or disagree, and my thoughts and opinions. And then on Sunday, so I've talked, like, different groups maybe on here that my Xbox controller has had a bit of issues with analog drift, and then it wasn't really affecting the game too badly, but I got to the final boss area, and oh dear god, like I've got a whiskey because I had to pour myself while I'm trying to do this. So on Sunday, trying to do the final boss area, and that requires doing lots of precision kind of grinding, jumping of things to get to where the boss is. But it isn't just get up there and you just finish the game. No, you have to do that at least twice. And I kept failing to get up there over and over again, so much so that in the end, yes, this is my controller, and I was like, I am done with this. not rage quit the game, but like, you know, I am done. Because so this was on the Sunday. I ordered off of eBay 2 controllers. This is the only controller I've ever had like this. So if I want to do 2-player on the 360, I thought buy 2. Anyway, so I bought 2. So they finally got delivered today, and so I went to play. And yeah, don't get me wrong. Like I didn't. It was definitely a better experience, but it still took many tries to get up to that boss platform. But I did eventually beat the game. Yeah, so it's a game that has fantastic art, presentation, and the music is absolutely fantastic. Like I think it's a game that everyone should play, and it's criminal it's not being remastered and re-released. I believe that's due to the music licensing. But at the same time, I think it needs a remaster because there are some niggles with it. Like I found the controlling of it, like the handling, to be difficult at times. It's kind of like, in a way, not a tank. That's not the right way to phrase it. Like for example, say you want to go and try and jump onto something to grind along it. If you don't get the angle right, then you suddenly have to do like a big turning circle to get back around to then try and have another go. Also, if you are grinding on something, but then you realize that you need to like go the opposite direction, there's no easy way to kind of do that, to my knowledge. So the amount of times like you would be going up like several flights of like stairs, and then you're like to try and turn around, the next thing you know you mess up and like end up falling down or whatever. And I don't know if this is, if emulating it on the 360 had an impact, but I also felt that like if you jump on the spot, when you press the A button to jump, it's immediate. If you're going towards a ledge, or if you're going to the end of a grind to jump off, it felt like you had to always jump or press the A button earlier than you feel like you should. If you press it when you feel like you should press it, then it's not going to recognize it and you're going off without jumping, which was hugely frustrating. I feel like it might be slightly better with this new controller, but trying to do the jumps to get up to this top platform, there are times where I'm like, I pressed that! But anyway. One thing to be aware of if you do decide to use the 360 to emulate it is that, especially on 99th Street, that area is a lot of slowdown. Like, it just goes to a crawl. But I don't know what it will be like if you even can play it on the later Xbox consoles because of the whole backwards compatibility stuff and the licensing. So I don't pick this up thinking you can. I don't know. Look online. But knowing that I was emulating it via 360, I was like, I just pushed through it. I just dealt with it. So, and because one thing that is different with this game is that with the first game, it was very mission structured. Like you would have your, the garage, your base, and then you would pick where you're going to go and you would go there. Whereas with this, your garage is like a central hub and you have to go through different areas to get to where you need to go. So it felt like more like an open world map in that way. Even though it's technically each area was its own self-contained thing, you still had to go through different entrance and exits to get to where you wanted to go. So that was a nice addition. But the gameplay was dumbed down a bit in the sense of the graffiti. You no longer had to do like the mouse movements of to try and actually graffiti. It's just like move along and just press the button and that's it. So I guess they're trying to maybe make it more like, is free flowing the right phrase, where you just go along and just do it rather than having to stop and just go. But yeah, so I think I've waffled enough. Jet Set Radio Future, a game that I feel like everyone should play, but whether or not you want to beat it is another matter. That's going to come down to personal opinion. I do honestly hope this gets re-released one day because, yeah, it's fantastic. And I even have, hang on, I picked up last year the Jet Set Radio and Jet Set Radio Future. Like this one hasn't been unwrapped yet because I haven't played the game. The soundtracks from Japan, I got those. So yeah, it'd be cool now to be able to listen to these more. So yeah, Jet Set Radio Future. It is Thursday, the 23rd of January, and game number 6 is finished, and it is Frasier Fantasy on the Game Boy Color. Yeah, you heard that name right. Frasier Fantasy. So this is a homebrew game which is about Frasier. Yes, Frasier Crane. That show about you play as Frasier and trying to host a soiree, a dinner party. But you have to get some things done first. You have to try and clear Marty, his dad, and Eddie out of the flat. You have to then also try and do some time on your radio show, and you also have to try and get back your grape scissors. Yes, grape scissors from your brother Niles. So the game can be beaten in just under an hour. It's been clearly made with a lot of love by someone who is a big fan of the show. There's some maybe like references in it. It's quite nice, and yeah, it's got. I say it's an RPG because you can level up and you do have some fights. There's not that many in it, but what's there is definitely serviceable. So yeah, it's an enjoyable game. Definitely worth. Yeah, say it's a free download on itch.io. I think it was free. You could donate, but yeah, if I remember, I'll stick a link. But yeah, just search for Frasier Fantasy Game Boy Color, and you'll easily find it. And it's yeah, definitely worth checking out. So yeah, and also the previous game was Game 5, but I didn't say in that video that Game 4, which is not in this video, was my first complete RPG of the 12 RPG challenge. So that one had its own video, and this game does not count as part of that challenge because even though it is technically an RPG, it is for me it's far too short. But also that I'm deliberately doing one per console. So I've already done a Game Boy Color or Game Boy RPG, so I'm doing other stuff. So yeah, it is Friday the 24th of January. Game number 7 is finished, and it is Tamasi on the PC. So this is a puzzle platformer game, uh, 2D style, so like left to front. You play the creation of a god to go and clear out the corruption in his temple, and then shenanigans happen because the theme and like what happens in the game, I don't really want to spoil. It's one of those kind of games, but I really actually enjoy the puzzles in this game, like the platforming. It's nice and tight, and that none of the puzzles were overly complex. Like for example, where I did Sojourn last year, I sometimes spent like an hour to 2 hours maybe on some of the puzzles just because I just could not figure them out. Where these were far simpler, enough to really make you think, but not enough where they're just so obtuse. So that was good because because there's a bunch of guardians you have to beat, but right before the guardian, there will be like give you a choice between a left path or a right path. The left path is more difficult of a challenge, but then you get a stone at the end of it, which allows you to access a secret room later on. So it's a cheap game. I bought full price for like £4 something. It took about 2 hours ish to beat, but obviously that depends on how well you'll deal with the puzzles and like the platforming sections. So I think it's definitely worth checking out. Just be forewarned, this kind of I think comes under as like a horror game, but there's a lot of like iconography and like kind of a lot of disturbing scenes in it. When I say disturbing, maybe read some content warnings for it might be better. But I'm really am trying to avoid spoiling it because it is one of those games where you should just experience it for yourself. But anyway, yeah. It is Wednesday, February 5th, and game number 8 has been finished, and it is Inversion on the 360. So this game wasn't really on my radar. I hadn't actually heard of it before, but this was the current pick for the Club 52 monthly game challenge. So I decided to give it a try. It got released on 360, PS3, and also on PC. The PC version, which is the one I would prefer to play, is being delisted for a lot of countries. And if you want to buy a CD key for Steam, it's like 30 quid, whereas it was like £8 from CEX, so I decided to go down that route. I mean, because you can't even buy, like, pretend to be another country and buy it, because Valve have gone around that by saying, well, you're UK pounds, so you can't buy something in Mexico even if you pretend to be in Mexico, for example. So anyway, yeah. So, but the reason why I would have preferred to play this on PC is because of the aiming. Like, I don't know how you console players manage to do this all the time, but I really struggle trying to get precision aiming with like the right analog stick. Because the amount of times I would go to shoot and it would be off. I mean, there is a setting for like to help with the auto aim, so I enabled that, but I still really struggle with it. Like the amount of times I'll spend just getting hit or even die because I'm trying just to get slightly moved, because you have to be so precise to like hit the enemies, and sometimes it can be quite a distance. So you're there like come out because sorry, this is a third-person cover-based shooter. Yes, so you have to keep popping out of cover, go into the aim to try and like make it more likely to hit, and then okay, move. Oh wait, go back down because otherwise that's die. Go back up. Oh, okay, back in cover. Back in cover. So I do not know. I like how console players could just do this all the time. So when I played Vanquish at the beginning of the year, it was just like boom, shoot, boom, shoot, boom. I'm moving the mouse. You can't see the mouse moving on the screen. You can't. But I can. I'm moving the mouse to where I want to go and hit the fire button. Can't do that on the controller. Anyway, I'm not trying to do PC Master Race. I would never do that at all. I'm just saying, like, for shooters and someone who's played a lot of first and third person shooters on a PC, to suddenly have to do it via console, like, don't get me wrong, like, I played, like, my mate's 360 for the first all three Bioshock games, and also, like, the Halo series. So I've done a bunch of them. It's just, like, it's been a while since I've had to do it. Anyway. What else about the game, John? Because you spent enough time talking about PC versus console. Okay, so with Inversion, as you could probably tell by the cover, the gimmick is there's a lot of gravity-based kind of gameplay. So I don't want to give like the spoilers away about the game. Sorry, about the story. Sorry, the web camera is obviously being weird now. And also, we're going to have the Club 52 stream in couple of weeks as of recording, or a week and a half as of recording, so that's probably might be out first before this goes live, and we will probably go very spoiler heavy on the game story. Anyway, so but there's an invasion, and it turns out they have a bunch of gravity weapons, but also gravity starts doing weird things as well in your city. So you see here, like, you've got a pack the guy's wearing, and that allows you, as you go through the game, to get upgrades and do more of gravity. So initially, you can make people like go into the air, and so then you can shoot at them. Then also you can like pick up like rocks and barrels of things and hurl them at them. You can use it to clear paths and stuff. And as you go through, then as you get upgrades, it allows you the ability to then increase gravity, so force people to go to the ground, make objects fall down because they're now heavier, and also get a shield. So, one question I have. So, one of the upgrades you get halfway through the game is the ability to fling cars. One thing you cannot fling is a living person. You can fling corpses to your heart's content, but a living person, no, I'm guessing that's heavier than a car. Yeah, even in like Half-Life 2, I'm guessing, not to say that it harks back to the gravity gun, but they probably took influence from it. But eventually they came to like, okay, for the end of that game, you got the super gravity gun and could like suddenly pick up enemies and hurl them. It just seems a bit odd that this game will let you pick up a car to throw it, but a person that is like, what, a tenth of the weight? Nah, mate, can't do it. Not allowed to do it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it would absolutely cheese the gameplay. It would make it piss easy to get through the game. A boss, zoom out of the map, which is why you're not allowed to do it. It's just within the confines of how the game mechanics work. Why can I pick up a car but I can't pick up a person? the other thing as well is that the game wants you to use that gravity pack a lot, especially for boss battles, where if your weapons will do hardly any damage, or you need to use them to kind of like put a boss into a position where you can damage them. What I find annoying is that one of the things you can use the gravity pack for is to give yourself a shield, and there are times where you really need to have a shield, but it uses the same charges for all the other stuff. And if you want to use, because the shield is part of the heavier weight gravity, and lifting things up behind them is the lower weight gravity, and you're not allowed to use both forms at the same time. So in other words, because it goes blue, so your pack is blue if you're using low gravity, lift people up, hurl them, and red if you're using heavy gravity to bring them down or to have a shield. So you go, okay, I'm going to have a shield, but I will now pick something up and hurl it. Nah, as soon as you cross over to the low gravity, shield disappears, so now you're open to attack, and it's just like, great. I get that is all part of the same thing, but from a enjoyment point of view, why couldn't that have been a separate gauge? Like have different gauges for like the heavy and the low, so that you can do both at the same time, or at least just have the shield. But anyway, yeah, this game really turns into a meat grinder. Part of the reason why I wanted to have the mouse, because the latter half of the game they really put you through your paces. Like, I'm honestly impressed that I didn't actually rage quit at times or hold my controller through the TV. I had to repeat some sections over and 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 over again. Yeah. I do still recommend this game though, but I played it on the normal difficulty, but I at one point, right on the final level of the game, I went to see if I could lower it to easy. You can't. You can't change the difficulty part way through. But if you play this, unless if you are a master of like controller based shooting games, this is going to put you through your paces. And like they also they reuse boss battles a lot. That did annoy me. Like there was a slave trader. They used that 3 times, I think. And the third time, oh Jesus Christ. Oh, that was such a prolonged fight. Like that enemy he can do his own shield, which will only disappear if he decides to send out a heavy gravity attack towards you, at which point you get a window of opportunity to shoot at him, but your bullets do a minuscule amount, and I'm not wasting time trying to pick up something and throw it, which will probably do more damage, but I haven't got time to do that, because otherwise he's also going to try and come towards you and use his like fire whip or thing to try and attack you, because then you could stop him by using heavy gravity to drag him to the ground, but that's not going to last too long. And with the issues with the controlling is that amount of times during the game when I would try to hurl something at an enemy and I have to do it quickly so I don't die from being shot out, it's like it goes off course because I didn't aim it correctly. Anyway, I'm bitching a lot about this game, but I don't know if it's Stockholm Syndrome, but I did enjoy my time with it. I did not appreciate having to repeat certain sections so many times, but yeah, I don't know, maybe try on easy, maybe. Anyway, I've talked long enough. I will catch you next time.